a little bit more personal. Today, I'm going to talk about friendships, if they're beneficial or if it's just familiarity with certain people. And hopefully, in this particular episode, my viewers, after watching this, maybe some of you can weave out some of those relationships or friendships that really aren't beneficial to you that you don't really realize yet, because the Lord knows there's a lot of that goes around nowadays. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't, because there is, there really is. So without further ado, sit back, grab a snack, and let's chat. Now, a lot of people always say that life is better with friends, which is true. I mean, we all, as human beings, we're all dependent on social batteries or different things like that. We need other connections from other human beings in order to function as a society, which is why you see a lot of people who unfortunately are placed in solitary confinement when they're incarcerated. They have to basically relearn all kinds of other shit, and they just go pretty much mentally crazy to where they just can't function on their own. Um, I'm gonna start with childhood friendships first. It starts at those friendships that are basically started when we all not adolescents, but somewhat younger than that, like elementary school, things like that. Those are basically built on convenience, having fun, and different things like that. Hell, you might get in trouble together when you're at school or whatever the case may be. Those are that's the start. It can be the start of either one, a friendship that will evolve over time, or two, just a season, because we have that as well. Some friends are here for a reason, some are here for the season. Those childhood friendships, they grow into adulthood friendships, which become less so based off of convenience and fun and more so based on values and trust and timing, basically, because we don't discuss enough, I feel, the emotional changes that come with growth and that come with the evolution of certain people who you see yourself being their friend and vice versa, hopefully. um those friendships that start at such an innocent age undoubtedly and inevitably grow into they grow into adolescent friendships and then eventually adult friendships that all have different they all look different, basically. The childhood friendships, they look like, yeah, hey, we go to school together, we get in trouble together, whoop de woo, we laugh, we play, we have fun. The adolescent friendships turn more into, we start going out and we start, maybe we go together, not go together, but maybe we go to school together in high school. We start finding our ways, we start thinking about our future, and we start dating and things like that. And then we have the adulthood friendships. I mean, hell, we all have jobs, some of us have families, some of us are married. um so that psychological and emotional change, it it is gonna happen, you know what I'm saying? And for someone like me and others out there who tend to overthink things and sometimes think that you might be the reason, and you might think that that friendship is coming to an end or is fading away, and some of us, we think that we're the problem, when really it's just, no, you're not the problem. People just change, not change, but that's a bad word to say. People are growing, lives are changing, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of us, as we get older, we start finding our own path, we start finding love. Some of us get married, have kids, start our own families. So the time that we used to put into that adolescent friendship or that innocent friendship, that time now has to be allocated to our own life because, again, jobs, family, and things like that. So it's hard to really pinpoint the reason for us really feeling that way. Like I said, people like myself, we tend to somewhat overthink things. So if we feel like a friendship is, fading away or coming to an end, we start thinking that, damn, what the fuck did I do? Let's talk about it, whatever, whatever. And I mean, it's just kind of it's crazy how that can really all come to fruition because you sit and think that you're the problem when really it's like, no, there is no problem. You start making something out of nothing, which we, I know it's unfortunate, but a lot of us have that have that issue. It's not that we do it on purpose. It's just we kind of miss how things used to be, where we didn't have all of these responsibilities, and we could just go out and just not think twice about it and stay the fuck out all night and just get into all kinds of chaos, legal chaos. That is not no, we ain't getting into shit that's gonna get us arrested. But we could just, fucking friends spending the night by your house, spending weeks by your house, and we just chilling, playing the game, going out doing all kind of shit. But now it's like we can't do that anymore because I have my family. This other person, hypothetically speaking, they might have their own family. They might have everybody's life is different, so everybody has their own shit going on. And for people like me, myself, we have to understand that stop thinking that you're an issue because you're not. Sometimes it can come off kind of selfish because it's like, did you ever take into consideration that what's going on in this other person's life instead of just assuming that it's you all the time. But I'm not going to stay too much on that. Um, the benefits. I'm gonna move on to what I think are the benefits of a true friendship and signs that you do have somebody that is real. You know what I'm saying, and not just there just for their convenience. Um, the emotional support for one, being seen, being heard, being encouraged. If somebody sees the good that you're doing, sees the work that you're putting in, and acknowledges you and lets you know that, hey, I see what you're doing, I feel you. I see that you've been going through some shit, but I also see that you've been working on getting past that shit. Those are the ones that you keep. Those are the ones that you cherish because not everybody can see you. Not everybody knows what's going on in your life. Some people can see without you even saying anything. Like for me, for example, a lot of my friends well, not a lot of them, but for the most part, a good bit of my friends, I can pretty much tell when something's going on with them. Like even if they don't say anything, because they're not very good at hiding shit. Even stuff that they've tried to keep under the table to not really. So, well, let me backtrack. Even things that they've done that they wanted to keep a secret, I know. Trust me, I know. Because a lot of it's funny because a lot of my friends they don't realize how bad they are at hiding shit. They really don't, and they try so hard to hide stuff that it makes it so fucking obvious that they are hiding something instead of just going about life normally. Yeah, just we ain't gonna talk too much about that. Accountability is a big one. People who call you out and hold you accountable for your bullshit. Those are the ones that actually want to see you succeed in life. Those are the ones that want to see you do better for yourself, for whatever it is you have going on. If you surround yourself with a bunch of yes men all the time, you'll never grow as a person. And those people don't really give a shit about you. They just either they're riding your coattails or they just don't care enough about you to really call you out about your shit. 'Cause I've had that before. And I can't no, I haven't had people ride my coattails, but I've had people that I consider yes men that really didn't hold me accountable for the shit that I did. And that's kind of why I hold myself to such a high standard. Even if I do the smallest thing, I'm gonna hold myself accountable, even if it's not my fault, because that's just how I am now. Because I didn't really have that with my a lot of my friendships back in the day. I have it now, but I didn't really have it back then. Um, so yeah, accountability and all of this is goes hand in hand. It's not just friends holding you accountable, it's them also being able to let you hold them accountable as well because it's not just a one-way thing. Like if you're going to hold me accountable, I would expect you to also let me hold you accountable because nobody on this earth is perfect and we all fuck up from time to time. But I will be the one that tells you, hey, I think you fucked up because you did this. I don't think you should have did this. I think that next time if this happens, you should go about it in this particular way. Or talk to me about it first before you fly off the handle and start doing shit that you're going to regret. I have been in that situation before on both ends of the spectrum where I had to hold one of my partners accountable, but I've also been on the side where I've had to be held accountable for stupid shit that I've done. It's not nothing bad. It's if you got people in your life that are willing to hold you accountable for the mistakes that you make, those are the people that you cherish. Those are the people that's going to keep you on the straight and narrow. And those are the people that want to see you succeed and grow as a person and in life. Moving on, your joy is their joy and vice versa. Your stress is their stress. Your joy is their joy. Your anger is their anger. Your sadness is their sadness. In a way, it can be a little tricky. There's kind of a gray area with this because a lot of my friends, when they stress, of course, I'm gonna stress out too. I'm not gonna stress out too much, depending on the situation. Just being honest, but for the most part, yes, I do try to put myself in my friend's shoes when it comes to the things that they go through, even though I can't really not sympathize, but I can't really relate to a lot of shit that they go through. For example, I have some friends who unfortunately no longer have their mother with them. My mother's still here, so I can sympathize with them, but I can't relate to it. So therefore, I try my best to really be as open with them as possible, even though I can't emotionally feel the same way they do, which is unfortunate. I mean, it's not unfortunate, but it's I want to be there. It's unfortunate that I can't be as open with them as I want to, but that just it's like I said, it's a very gray area. It'll take me forever to really explain how this shit really goes. But for the sake of keeping this shit fairly short, which I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Like I said, your joy is their joy. If I see my friends succeeding, then I'm happy. If I see my friends happy, then I'm happy. If I see my wife happy, I'm happy. If my baby's happy, then I'm happy. If my daughter's stressed out or upset about something, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. If my friends are upset, stressed out about something, and they come to me, then I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna try my best to give them real advice, not just shit that they want to hear, shit that they need to hear. Which is why I said that also kind of goes back to that accountability thing. Friends that people have to hold you accountable, and you have to be able to hold them accountable without getting into all these arguments and things like that. And people getting defensive because when people start getting defensive, that means that they're not willing to take accountability, and they're also not willing to grow or mature from said situation. And a lot of people like that exist. You'd be surprised. Um, when you have different types of friendships, nobody really also talks about the scientific benefits of that. Whereas if you have these friendships that are, start from childhood and you guys are still close to this day, it lowers your stress levels. Sometimes you have a longer lifespan because I don't know if y'all know laughter is the best medicine. Those friends that you can generally laugh with and just clown around with, those are the ones that'll keep you, keep you active, keep you alive, whatever the case may be, keep you alive longer, that is. Um, if I had to talk about a friendship that genuinely helped me or that helped me grow or motivated me, um, I don't really have. Well, I do kind of have one, but I'm gonna move on because I don't really want to. I'm not trying to get into all that right now. I'll probably double back on that towards the end of the episode. Now let's talk about the negative aspects of, I guess, so-called friendships and the hidden costs that come with that. Starting with one-sided friendships. If you find yourself always being the one that listens and gives advice, but they never it's like when you try to reach out to them, it's like you can never get through to them, or you feel like you can't talk to them about shit because they're not going to listen, or whatever the case may be. That to me is considered a one-sided friendship. If I make myself available to you on a daily basis, or if I'm just a text away or a call away or whatever, I always try to make myself available for my friends that really need to vent, or if they really need help. Um, But if I feel like that reciprocity is not there, which I do kind of feel that way for a good bit of my friendships, that that's kind of one sided to me. I mean, again, going back to earlier, a lot of us do have our own lives. A lot of us have different responsibilities that we have now. So it might not be as easy to get through to somebody as it would have been back then. However, I'm also a firm believer that you make time for the people that you truly fuck with. So if I'm always going to make time for you and I feel like you're not making time for me, then that's a problem. That's a problem to me. And it's I'm gonna try to talk about it with you, but if I feel like you either get defensive or nothing changes, then some other different actions are gonna have to take place. Whereas, or i.e., ending this friendship. I've ended friendships in the past because I felt like they were one sided to me. I've had friendships in the past that were one sided that I felt were one sided, and I've actually tried to reach out and communicate about it, but it was basically in vain because it didn't help. Nothing changed, and now the friendship isn't even there anymore. Like it's been pretty much done for a couple of years now. Um, jealousy, jealousy is a big thing, and a lot of times people mask it as support when it's really just, oh, I want what he got, so I'm gonna keep close to him, and basically, I guess, for lack of a better term, ride his coattails, ride her coattails, and once I get where I need to get to, that's gonna be that. Jealousy or competition, and people like to mask it as support. Watch out for those people. A lot of times people say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That shit rings very true. Keep your eye out for that type of stuff. Different friends that are stuck in negative vortexes or negative bubbles and don't really see the benefit of life and just trying to do better for themselves and putting in the work to do better for themselves. And I don't like people like that. I mean, I understand that life is not fair. I understand that life is hard. But if you're just one of those people that just like to sit there all day like a fucking bump on a log and just talk about, oh, I can't did this and my life is in shambles and it's always one thing after another and whoop de whoop. I get it, okay. We all go through shit. Life is not fair. Life is hard as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not gonna put in the work to make yourself better, I don't need nobody needs that negativity in their life. You know what I'm saying? Um, and you don't need that negativity in your life. It's just don't stop sitting there and just thinking that the world is out to get you. Like the world is not out to get you. The world doesn't give a fuck about anybody, honestly. Um, but yeah, those friends that are basically stuck in their own way, stuck in negativity, just sad saps and just suck the energy and the vibe and the life out of everything that they put their hands on. I don't even want to be friends with people like that, to be honest with you. I've put in way too much work to get myself better mentally, psychologically. I'm trying to get myself back right physically. I put in way too much fucking work to just be hanging around Debbie Downers all day. And I'm not going to do that. My next one is friends who like to dwell in chaos and drama. I'm gonna separate chaos with drama because I feel like drama is not as serious as chaos, but drama is way messier than chaos. Now, starting with drama, and when I say drama, I mean like they're always on the shade room, they're always on TMZ, they're always talking about, oh, did you hear this celebrity did that and that celebrity did that? And it's like, bro, first of all, celebrity worship is such a plague nowadays that nobody wants to talk about. I don't care for people who worship celebrities. I don't care for people who are always in celebrities' lives. I don't care for people who are always on Shade Room looking at shit. Nah, don't get me wrong. Different outlets like that. I'm not bashing the Shade Room at all. I used to follow them, but I don't anymore because it just got too messy for me. Um, Different things like Baller Alert. I mean, I still follow Baller Alert, but I'm probably about to unfollow them too because it's just a lot of shit. It's gotten so much so messy nowadays. It's less about reporting on certain things, and it's more about reporting on just dumb shit. So again, friends that like to dwell in that kind of shit, friends who they can't miss a single episode of fucking baddies or loving hip hop and just, shit like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing anybody who watches these shows. You know what I'm saying? Because you like what you like. But it's a fine line between just, casually watching shit like this and actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, glamorizing shit like that. I don't glamorize any of that stuff. I mean, my wife watches it. I don't really care, but she doesn't glamorize stuff like that. I mean, I don't see her going around talking about, oh, this celebrity did that and that celebrity did that, because that's just not what we're into. You know what I'm saying? And then again, I don't really care for friendships with people who that's just their bread and butter, because I think that's just very messy. And it's like, what are you doing with your own life to be worrying about what somebody else got going on in their life? I feel like that's somewhat jealousy too, jealousy and envy. Chaos. Now, chaos is very dangerous to me, and that's to me is even worse than a friend that likes to dwell in drama, because a friend that likes to dwell in chaos is one that always is seeking some sort of altercation with somebody, or is always going around, you know, not preaching, but like fronting or flexing like they're gonna do something, or always want to show off some sort of firearm or just stupid shit. Like, if you're the type that likes to show off their weapons and always wants to talk shit about shooting somebody or things like that, then for one thing, first of all, get some help, because what's really going on in your life? Second of all, I can't have that type of shit around my family. Like, come on now. Now that's one thing. Now, don't get this twisted with like self defense, because defending yourself, like I said in my last episode, in my one of my old episodes, I don't condone violence, but I will always condone defending yourself. So don't get that twisted with defense. I'm talking about the people that ride around and like look for shit, like the people that own these firearms for intimidation instead of protection. Whereas the ones that defend themselves, that's different, because I'll always defend myself. I'll always defend my friends and my family. That shit is never gonna change. Um, let's see. Let's move on to uh the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the psychological warfare and the emotional toll that it takes to get over a friendship that's ended, especially one of a multi-year friendship. Now, I feel like there's different tiers for me. I feel like there's associates, friends who, months, years, whatever, and then there's family who I would say you've been pretty close to for 5-ish years at least, maybe 7 years. I mean, I got friendships that I've been close to this person for decades, for at least a decade, and we're no longer friends anymore. Um, I feel like the mental toll that it takes is not really discussed enough, and I feel like people they love to preach this, "Oh, I'll cut a motherfucker off and not think twice about it and just act like you don't exist." Like, I feel like that's bullshit, because you can't just cut somebody off, especially somebody you've been friends with for years now, and just act like nothing happened. Like, that's unless you have no soul, or unless you have a heart made of straight ice, that's not possible. Like, humans have feelings and emotions, and you can't get on this fucking app lying, and you can't get on social media lying, talking about, "Oh, I'll cut a motherfucker off and not think twice about it and just act like nothing happened. I'll just ignore you and this and that." Okay, physically you might ignore 'em, but deep down inside, I guarantee you that shit is not easy to deal with. I don't never go preaching about, "Oh, I'll cut somebody off and not think," I don't preach about that shit, because I would be lying to myself if I said that. If I feel like if there's a friendship that I don't no longer in, then it's grief. It's like grieving the loss of a loved one, but in some cases it might be worse, because that person is still alive and you'll still be able to see them. With the death of a loved one, it might it not by any means, none of this shit is easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that grief is easy, but it's different, you know what I'm saying? Because the possibilities are still there for you to work something out with them. However, depending on the situation and how it ended, you know that the shit is not gonna work. And there's been friends that, you know, have questioned my parenting methods and I've cut them off. There have been friends that have double crossed me that I've cut off. There have been friends that cut me off for apparently no fucking reason. Well, I'm not gonna say it's no reason, but there's been friends that cut me off. To this day, I still don't know the reason why. Because communication, it's like black people are allergic to communication, in my opinion, and I hate that for us. Because I feel like there would be a lot more friendship that would be saved with a simple fucking conversation. But nobody wants to conversate nowadays. Everybody just wants to go their separate ways and move on and block people and just not proceed, not take any sort of mature initiative to even communicate with the other person. Because how the fuck are you supposed to know? Coming from my point of view, how in the hell am I supposed to know what I did to you if you have me blocked? Or, if I find out from somebody else that you no longer want to be friends or anything like that, how am I supposed to react to that? And then when if I try to reach out to you to try to talk about it, I get ignored and I get blocked. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's very childish in my opinion. We have to learn how to we have to start learning how to communicate with each other better. Because like I said, a lot of friendships will probably be saved if people just learn how to talk to one another. Um, those friendships that I've lost over the years, I still have a tough time dealing with that. I mean, one of them that I lost was before Hurricane, no, right after Hurricane Ida, which was in 2019, I want to say, or whatever, whenever it was. It's been a couple of years though, and I still have to deal with that. And that's some days are better than others, and some days it's not as easy to deal with as other days. One of my friendships that I've had, um, of what was it, 10 plus years, we managed to work it out. Thank goodness. But however, there's still that there in the back of my mind that damn, how can I really, like, I can forgive you, but I can never, the trust would probably never be the same as it was before. Because you can say anything you want about me as a person, but the minute you start bashing, me as a father or as a husband, or bashing my daughter or my wife, then that's when I have a problem. Especially if you don't have either. If you haven't been married before or you don't have your own child, you know what I'm saying? You have no right to bash anybody else for something when you yourself have not experienced neither one. And this goes for anybody. Like, just if you have this in your life, if you have a friend that is married, has a child, whatever, whatever, you also have to understand that the boundaries that come with having a family are going to be much higher than before having a family, because now I have to not only think about myself, I have to think about the child of mine and the bills that I have to pay and just everything that comes with that. Um Now, on the flip side, if I were the one to talk about somebody as a parent and as a whatever, wife, husband, then I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for that, because that's not my place to do that. Now, it's one thing to come from a place of love and tell somebody, hey, I think that you should, give this a shot, try this method instead. You know what I'm saying? Just, I see that this method isn't working for you, or I see that you're having a tough time doing this. So try this instead. Let me know how that works. And if it does happen to work better for you, I can give you some more tips to follow up on that. That's how you try to, that's the perfect way to try to not really hold anybody accountable, but try to correct them in a way and just, show them that, hey, I'm not here to bash you. I'm here to help you. So let me, let me give you these tips. Whoop de whoop. That's how you keep friendships open. Respect people's time, but also be there for them. And don't bash them. Nobody's perfect. Nobody in this fucking world is perfect. You have no right to bash anybody for something that you say they're doing. If it's not causing harm to them or their family, You have no fucking right to bash anybody about anything that they do. Moving on. Um let's take a minute to evaluate our circles, and let's ask ourselves this question as I'm about to finish this in a second. Let's ask ourselves these questions. If you have these particular friendships that you are unsure about, um ask yourself these: do they celebrate your wins? Do they hold you accountable? And can you be yourself around them? If your answer is no to any of these questions, then you might not be in the ideal friendship. Again, do they celebrate your wins? Yes or no? They should be celebrating your wins as are you should be celebrating their wins. Do they hold you accountable? Yes or no? They should hold you accountable just as much as you should hold them accountable, because that's what keeps us on the straight and narrow, and that's what helps us grow as individuals and as friends. Can you be yourself around them? That is the biggest thing. If you feel like you have to walk on eggshells when you're around this person, if you feel like you cannot be your authentic, goofy, petty, messy, whatever the fuck you are, your authentic self around this person, as if yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? As also, they should be able to be their self around you without fear of being judged, or without them feeling like they have to walk on eggshells around you, or whatever the case may be. If that answer is no, that is the biggest thing. If you cannot be yourself around this person, then that friendship is not a real friendship. That is a one sided situation that's not going to last. And again, the biggest thing is reciprocity. It should always flow both ways: communication, celebration, accountability, genuine, heartfelt, whatever. It's always should be on both sides. It should never be one sided. And that's another thing. Do you feel like this is a one sided friendship? If you feel like this is one sided, if you feel like you do any of these things and you don't get it back, then that's not a real friendship. That is a one sided situation that will not last long. Like I said, people get busy. We all have our lives. Totally understandable. However, I am still a firm believer that you make time to fuck with the people. Do you make time for the people who you truly fuck with? You make time for the people that you truly consider a part of your life, your friend, your family, whatever the case may be. Friendships are supposed to be emotional. What's the word I'm looking for? They're supposed to be emotionally awarding, not emotionally draining. This is not an emotional bank where you keep making deposits. You should be able to be getting these withdrawals out as well. Now let's talk about boundaries for a little while. This is gonna be the last thing. Boundaries, like I said, y'all. As we get older, boundaries start to change. We start to increase our boundaries, and especially even more so once some of us start getting into families and having children, and getting married, things like that. Boundaries is very important because a lot of us, we don't really set the boundaries that we need to, and that kind of allows people to walk over us. And it's not that, in some cases it's not that they mean to, but it's like if we don't make our boundaries clear to them, how would they know? They wouldn't know. That's the thing. And setting boundaries and a somewhat kind of a distance, it doesn't mean you are less of a friend, or it doesn't mean you're not loyal to that friendship. It just means that you have certain boundaries that people need to abide by. Like if you say that you can't, I can't call you after a certain time, and I still decide to call you after that time, that is me crossing your boundaries. If I decide not to call you at that certain time, that means I'm respecting your boundaries. And that's the thing, boundaries and respect, they kind of go hand in hand. A lot of people lack respect nowadays, and it's so unfortunate. Um Boundaries also includes the importance of healthy communication. You have to be able to be honest with somebody, and this again goes back to accountability. You have to be able to be honest with them and vice versa. They have to be able to be honest with you without people getting defensive and without arguments always taking place, or without people saying, you know what, well, fuck it, then we ain't gotta be friends no more and this and that. It's like, no, it's not bad to be checked, for lack of a better term. It's not bad. Healthy communication is not bad. If you did something wrong that I didn't like, or if I did something wrong that you didn't like, I would expect you to tell me about it. Just as I would expect you to expect me to tell you if you did something that I did not like. Now, there's a lot of things that I don't really talk about. Whereas if there's somebody does something that I don't really like, if it's not like done directly to me, and this is something that I need to learn how to do, I also need to learn how to start communicating a little bit better. Because if it's something that's done that I don't really care for, but it's not really done directly to me, then I'll pretty much just not say anything because it's not really my business. Especially if I'm in somebody else's house, that's not my business. But that's also kind of a fine line between that because you also don't want to be disrespectful in someone else's house. But you should also still be willing to talk to that person basically. Because again, healthy communication is not a bad thing. But people what makes it bad is people getting defensive so fast and just not wanting to be accountable and just like I said, just getting defensive. And that all that kind of goes hand in hand. Allowing friendships to evolve or end gracefully. And this is a big thing right here because it's like every time a friendship comes to an end, a lot of people like to make a big fuss about it. And if it's just like, if a friendship is coming to an end, naturally or gracefully, if you guys are going your separate ways or, you kind of growing apart, things like that, that doesn't mean that there's beef between you guys. There shouldn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? There's been some friendship that have ended for me as well that, to this day, if you hit me up, hey, how you been? You know what I'm saying? You need anything? You good, whatever, whatever. And I'm pretty sure, well, I would hope that it'd be the same, vice versa. But you can't put nothing past nobody, so I'm just not even gonna assume that. Um, I'm gonna end with this. Oh yeah, 37. God damn, this damn time be flying by. So I'm gonna end with this. My last discussion point is adult friendships and how they require scheduling, effort, and honesty. Um, Memories is good in adult friendships, but without the my nose be itching. God damn. We're all adults, so we all need ample time. A lot of my friends are either married, have kids, or a combination of both. We just need scheduling. You know what I'm saying? We have different things we need to do, and sometimes it takes a minute for us to really go back into the swing of things. But like I said, you make time for the people that you fuck with, and even if it's hard to make time, even if we can't make as much time as we want to, the making the time in general is what's important. Actually wanting to do things is what's important. And just putting in the effort makes it important. And people that always say, "Oh, I'm not going to make it," and different things like that. There's only so much of that I'm going to take before I just stop inviting you to places. And that's just coming from me because at some point I'm going to feel like you're just either not putting in the effort or you're just not being honest with me. So therefore, like once or twice, three times, four times, whatever, I get it. But like when you just make it a constant thing, then that's when I have to start questioning your, how genuine are you being? But uh that's about it for the day, y'all. I hope that whoever watches this can kind of get an eye opener. I hope this is an eye opener for some people who might be going through the same thing or might have, friendships who you might be questioning because we all go through that every now and then. We all have those situations to where it's like, damn, are we really like, is this shit really for real or not? Like, are we on the same time type of timing? And if we're not, what are we gonna do about it? Um, Other than that, y'all, that is it for the day. Uh, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I kept this one short, thank goodness, because my last one was almost like over 2 hours long. That is it though, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you.